Who's starting at cornerback?
I'm not sure yet, or I'll let Nick announce that.
You're sure.
What's that?
You know.
Pretty much, yeah.
I guess you could say the same for linebacker too, like who's gonna.
Yeah, Nick will announce that.
Safety.
Howie will announce that.
We talked earlier in training camp about Quinyon and the idea of him starting to travel. Where are you in that process? I take it CeeDee would be probably a good player that if he's going to, that deploy it that way.
Yeah, it's something that we'll look at each and every week, depending upon the matchups. With this team that we're playing this week, they got two great receivers. So, but it is something that's viable for us.
How much is the volume that the volume of snaps that CeeDee plays in the slot? How much does that factor into the decision to travel Quinyon or not?
Well, it will factor in, but there's times where he could travel, even if you're in a week where you are, and times where he won't.
When you look at, you mentioned the receivers Pickens and Lamb, and then you have their tight end who's pretty good. Do they remind you in any way of AJ, Devontae, and Dallas?
Yeah, I mean, they're three bona fide, really good players. And Prescott's obviously one of the top quarterbacks in the league. They got a lot of talent on offense.
Are there things from a young linebacker that you need to see before you put them on the field for significant snaps?
Well, yes and no. Yes, you'd like to see it. The chances to see it without it being in a game are kind of over. So, we can control practice what they see and what they need to see, but it's real now.
In this year, you made a point of discussing how you depended on the depth from last year's group. How do you feel about the depth of this year's group, and do you feel comfortable if you have to get to those spots?
Yeah, right now I do, until proven otherwise. I like the group we have. We're going to play guys as we need to play them, whether it be just to mix guys or rest guys or guys stay in for every play. But yeah, right now I do.
With Cooper, is that the base defense, are you still figuring that out as opposed to those other moving parts, or have you kind of figured out where he's going to be in the base?
We figured it out, but Nick will tell you.
What did you like about the way Drew Makuba played up until he got hurt, and does that set him back, like, going into the season?
Well, it does set you back. I mean, he basically missed 2 weeks of training camp, 2 separate injuries. But he's done well this week, looks healthy, looks like he's done a good job of staying on top of things and done well with the reps he's gotten in practice. So I do think, as it pertains comparing to other rookies, he's done well overcoming those obstacles.
See it as kind of being similar to Cooper's situation last year where he missed like 3 weeks of camp and then was kind of...
No, Cooper had a bigger roadblock last year. He didn't do anything until the last week of the last preseason game.
Whoever you start at cornerback, with the depth you have there, how much of a leash does that cornerback have in terms of the game, or like, when you have other options in there that you could throw out there if need be?
Yeah, I mean, no corner's going to pitch a shutout every game or during the whole run of the season. So, yeah, they've got a good long leash, who's ever out there, but we may play them all anyway,
With John Carter, beyond the ability that he has athletically and otherwise, does he have to play with a certain nastiness to get to the level that you guys want him to be?
Yeah, I don't know that nastiness is the right word. That kind of invokes Conrad Dobler type stuff.
How about, what's the best?
I just think he has to play with the right mindset to reach his potential or come close to reaching his potential. And he's just got to be on top of the details, play with great effort, and be focused.
When you mentioned that you might play multiple corners anyway, are you talking about a rotation? And if so, what would be the benefit?
No, I wouldn't say that.
At linebacker, sort of the same question. Last year you had Zach and N'Kobe pretty much taking all the reps. Are you open to more of a rotation at that position opposite Zach?
Not really. I mean, open, yes. Do I see it happening immediately? No.
We talked about Jordan Davis and kind of refining more of a pass rush technique. How has that process been?
Good. I think Jordan's had a really good camp, and expecting good things from him this year.
No, at edge depth, you were looking for somebody to step up early in training camp. What did you see as the summer unfolded?
Yeah, we've got Uche there, Z's, Big O. We got the guys that can come in and relieve our starters if need be.
It took 4 or 5 weeks last year for the defense to kind of get their feet underneath them. Do you feel like you're going to need a month to know what this group is?
I hope not. I don't foresee that. I think that's overplayed a little bit, what happened those first 4 weeks. But, no, I think we're ready to go because we still have a lot of guys that were here last year and guys that we expect to be improved from last year.
What is the difference versus end of last year when you saw Jalen in the Super Bowl versus where he's at now?
Yeah, he's just gotten logically and progressively better through all those reps he got last year, which in his case kind of came in a good logical way. He was getting more and more as the season progressed. And then, when BG went down, he got more and more and played a good bit in the playoffs. So it was nice for him to end the season on that. And then since the start of OTAs till now, he's been working with the first group, gotten a good bunch of reps, and I think he's in a good spot.
You have a
I'll do a
whole
couple
new
more
set of
queries.
captains on, you have a whole new set of captains on the defensive side of the ball, I guess, which speaks to the people who left. Does that matter at all to you?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I don't think you need a C on your chest to be a leader. I don't think Zach Vaughn and the Kobe had one on their jersey last year, and those guys were two really good leaders for us. And just because you have a C on your chest doesn't mean you're a leader either. You got to uphold and fulfill the duties of it.
Defensive tackle behind the big three, so you have Jalen, Jordan Morrow. You have the 3 younger guys. What has stood out about each of those 3 guys when you talk about Byron, Gabe, and Ty?
Yeah, those guys, we'll end up dressing 5 of them probably. 1 won't dress, and those guys will fill in as needed.
What was overplayed about the first 4 games versus the
What was that?
What was it? You mentioned that the first 4 games last year, as opposed to the rest of the season, was overplayed. Curious to hear you unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, I just think, the first game last year, we probably did too much as coaches schematically, which somewhat was my fault. Gave up too many big plays because of things we weren't playing correctly. It was more so than execution. It was execution, but we shouldn't have been playing them that early. I had too much confidence in what I thought they knew in that first game. The second game, we just didn't play the run well. The third game, I thought we played great. And then the fourth game, our entire team just got slaughtered. So, and then I think the fifth game, we had a game come down to the wire against, I think it was Cleveland. Yeah. So, I mean, it's there. I'm not saying it wasn't, but it wasn't like all of a sudden a light went on.
Vic, what has
Last one, please.
Jaborian shown you over the past 4 weeks?
Yeah, I like him. He's got good speed. He's got a good attitude. He's got a good football brain. Shown some good cover ability. I'm sure he'll be out there at some point this season. It could be this one too.
So the confidence of what you think they know schematically, a lot of young guys this time around too. How'd you approach that? Where do you think that?
Yeah, learn from your mistakes, and there's a lot of things that we bring up as coaches that would be nice to do, but I always got to say, we got this young guy here and this young guy here. We got to be careful.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.